My name's Leanne, and you can find me as VetMedKid on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and of course YouTube. Today I wanted to tell you guys about how I got into vet school. It's been a bit of a journey. I wasn't one of those people that knew what I wanted to be from basically out of the womb. I only decided in my last year of high school. So I thought we might as well rewind all the way back to year 11, which is when I started my exams that kind of counted for getting me into my future career. Year 11, the year that I decided that I would take the Cambridge International Examinations. I'm from New Zealand, so I could have chosen between NCEA or CIE, which is Cambridge. I went with Cambridge. In my first year of these exams, which was year 11, and I was 16, I sat English literature, chemistry, biology, history, and mathematics. And I did pretty well. I got an A in all the subjects and an A+ in chemistry. In year 12, which is when I was 17, I sat English language, chemistry, biology, and maths. I got an A in English language, I got a C in chemistry, and I got a D in both biology and mathematics. I still didn't know what I wanted to do, so going into the next year, I kept my options open. Year 13, I was 18. I was thinking that I was going to go into either primary school teaching, journalism, or potentially veterinary. At that stage, I did a leadership program with the school, and I went and ran a day full of activities for primary school students. And I realized, yeah, I like kids, but not enough to want to teach them as my full-time career. I obviously was quite good at English and absolutely loved journalism, but I kind of felt like there weren't really that many job prospects for journalism, so I kind of put it on the side. Then there was veterinary. So previously, back when I was a primary school kid, I was like, oh, I'm going to become a nurse. And then I realized that I could not deal with human blood. Like, I get kind of freaked out by all that, because I imagine whatever happens to the human, I imagine it on myself, and then I get really, I just can't deal. So then I was like, am I going to be the same with vet? Unsure. I loved working with animals. I've always ridden horses and had pets in my life, and looking back at every photo album, I have an animal in my arms. I've lions, crocodiles, puppies, kittens, bunny rabbits, guinea pigs, horses, like literally any animal, even the huge ass Galapagos tortoises, every photo I have had an animal with me. And kind of looking back, I'm like, how did I not know that I wanted to be a vet? But as I said, my problem was I didn't know if I could deal with blood and guts. So my mum organised for me to go to my local vet clinic and just shadow them for the day. Now, I want to let you know that I also had experience in a veterinary clinic once before, and this was when I was probably, 8 years old maybe. I watched my mom's best friend, who is a vet, perform a spay. This was on a stray cat, and they didn't know that it was pregnant. They probably had suspicions, but for me, I didn't know that it was going to be pregnant. I mean, I was 8 years old. And unfortunately, they had to remove all of the kittens from the mother. She wasn't... What you doing, dogs? That was kind of a traumatic event for me. I did not enjoy looking at it. You could see the embryos, you could see that they were basically kittens forming. They weren't final stage or anything, but you could see the little animals in there, and I was like, I am never going to be a vet after watching that. But anyway, as it was still one of my options, I decided that I would go to this veterinary clinic that my mom had organised for me. And I watched them perform spays and castrates and dentals and also some orthopedic surgeries, which now that I know it was for a torn cruciate ligament. And I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I went into consults and enjoyed the client interaction, but I realized that I could deal with the blood and guts. I walked out of that clinic knowing that day that I was going to be a vet. So, how did I do in my exams that year? Well, thankfully, my year 12 grades were good enough to get me into the pre-vet selection course at Massey University, which is the New Zealand vet school, which meant I didn't really need any other grades to get into university. But of course, I was still in year 13, so I had exams to sit, and I did. That year, for my A-level exams, which was my final year, year 13, I was 18 years old, I took English language and got an A, I took chemistry and got a B, and I took biology and got a C. Not amazing grades, really, hey? But I will say that I got the most out of high school. I was doing 16 extracurricular activities through high school, and then I was doing more extracurricular activities out of high school. I was the house captain and I was a prefect, so I had a lot on and I was loving life. Like I say, I got a lot out of it. I had a lot of leadership opportunities, but my grades weren't that amazing. Didn't really matter because I got into pre-vet at Massey. I finished high school on the 2nd of December. We had our grad dinner then, and I had a bit of a break. Usually we would go until I think it would be end of February, early March. But I knew that I would be having to sit physics as part of my pre-vet selection process. And I did not know enough about physics from high school. So I decided to take summer school introductory physics, which started in January. I ended up getting an A+ for that subject and I was super chuffed with myself. I remember being so nervous going into starting university. We went to go view the university with my family and they were really excited for me, and I just remember crying because I was so nervous. I knew how school worked. I was part of so many different groups that I knew a lot of people at school. I knew all the teachers, that was my place. And then I was going to university. I went to the Albany campus for Massey, which was about a 45-minute drive from my house if there was no traffic, but it's Auckland, so it took me 2 hours to get to uni every day. So it was far away from my house and I was going by myself and it was a new experience and I was like, ah! But as I said, I did the introductory physics and I got an A+, so I was chuffed with myself. I then started pre-vet at the end of February, maybe early March of 2015. And for pre-vet, you have to do one semester through Massey Uni. You take physics for life sciences, chemistry of living systems, biology of animals, and biology of cells. You also have to sit a StatF test, which is like a common sense sort of test. Now, this is back in 2015. Massey have since changed the way that you apply into vet school. They still do pre-vet, but it's a bit different. So they take the top grades from your first semester doing those subjects and the StatF test. And then if you get in, you move down to Palmerston North, or you stay in Palmerston North at Massey Uni, and that's when you do vet school from then on. Basically, my days of first semester were waking up at 6:30, driving to uni at 7, getting there at 9 for my first lectures. If I got there a bit early, I would spend the time in the library and just study. Then from 9 until 5, we had university classes. We had both lectures and practicals. The lectures weren't recorded online, so you had to be there. At lunchtime, I think we had about an hour break. I would eat lunch in the library and I would do some study. Then at 5 o'clock, instead of driving home straight away, because the traffic would be hectic, I used to go and grab some sushi from across the road, and I would sit in the library until about 7:30 and then drive home. I'd get home, say 8, 8:15, sometimes 9 o'clock, and I would eat dinner and then do some study. I wanted to be in bed by 11 p.m. each night, but let's be real, that did not happen because I was studying, so I'd get late nights and then get up at 6:30 the next day to start all over again. Basically, I didn't have a life in first semester. I went from doing heaps of different extracurricular activities at school to only going horse riding on Saturday and occasionally seeing friends. I basically put my whole life into getting into vet school. And then I didn't get in. That was hard. In first semester, I got an A for chemistry and then a B+ for both biologies and physics. When I opened those grades, I knew that they weren't going to be good enough for me to get in. But I still had to wait for the letter to tell me that I didn't make it. And it hurt. It was not a great feeling. I had told so many people what my plan was, and I was so excited about getting into vet school, and then I just didn't get in. I found out I was 32 people out, and I think that kind of hurt more, knowing that I was so close but still didn't make it. So I had to make a new plan, right? In that time, I contacted the University of Queensland in Australia just to find out what kind of requirements you needed to get into vet school. I found out that apparently my maths was not good enough. Surprise, surprise, I got a D at school, which was so frustrating because I was 1% off getting a C, and if I had got a C, my maths would have been good enough. But that's okay. So I found out what I needed to do. And apparently I needed to sit introductory biostatistics in the next semester at Massey University and pass it, and I would meet the prerequisites. Wouldn't necessarily mean that I'd get in, but at least I would be able to apply. So in second semester, I stayed at Massey University in Albany, and I sat introductory biostatistics, psychology as a natural science, essentials of mammalian biology, and biology of plants. Once again, I had no life, but I worked freaking hard. I knew that I didn't get into vet school, and at that stage I was like, you know what? I literally do not want to do anything else with my life. I am going to get in. So I pushed myself to the limit. Like, I worked so hard. I ended up getting an A+ in plants, which was surprising because I did not think that I cared about plants. But I worked hard and I got there. I got an A+ in introductory biostatistics. I got an A in psychology as a natural science, and I got an A- in essentials of mammalian biology. The way that Massey University works, they only ever take applications for veterinary science after the pre-vet selection each year, which meant that I would have to wait until July to find out whether I got into vet school. After talking to some student counsellors at the university, they told me that my grades were good enough that I had a good chance of getting into vet school, but if I sat another semester, I would be more likely to reduce my grades, and therefore they recommended that I didn't sit another semester, which meant that I basically had from January until July to do nothing. And if anybody knows me, I'm not a person that just does nothing. I mean, I keep myself busy. In the meantime, I thought, well, I might as well apply for the University of Queensland, as I would be counted as a domestic student because I'm a New Zealand citizen, and New Zealand and Australia have this little bond thing going on. I wouldn't have to pay international rates, so Australia seemed manageable. The problem with my application though, so you had to apply through QTAC, and unfortunately the cutoff date for applications was before my Massey University official grades for that semester would be put out. I emailed QTAC and I explained this to them, and unfortunately they could not take my unofficial grades. They needed a paper copy of my academic transcript, which meant that I missed out on the first application round for veterinary school. And that scared me because as I was a New Zealand citizen, I would be counted as a domestic student, which meant that all those places were likely to be given to students in the first round. Now, the problem with the fact that I needed to have an actual paper copy of an academic transcript meant that I would have to post it from New Zealand to Australia. This would be all well and good if the Massey results came out before the applications for vet science at the UQ closed, but of course they didn't. When I finally got my academic transcript from Massey University, I sent it off to Australia, and then it got lost in the post. And then it got lost in the post again. Talk about a mission. Like, that was just a roller coaster of emotions just going on. And then when they did receive my academic transcript, They told me that I did not pass the prerequisites for maths, which meant that I was no longer in the running for vet school at UQ. Basically, just ripped my heart out of my chest. I was like, cool. Now I have to wait until July to find out whether I have a chance of getting into vet school through Massey University. So in the meantime, I applied for vet nursing jobs because I was like, might as well get the experience. And at least I would be getting some money and learning stuff. So I applied for a veterinary job around my local area. And I explained to them that I was going to be applying for vet school in July of 2016. So if I got in, I would be moving down to Massey University and would therefore not be able to work. They were happy with that. I didn't mention anything about UQ because at that stage I was out of the running. My maths was not good enough. I got the job, and in the meantime I kept emailing UQ, well, it was QTAC that I was going through. I kept emailing them, trying to explain to them that they had told me that I just needed to pass introductory biostatistics and I went and got an A+, so surely that would be fine. Anyway, after a heap of emailing and explaining that I had done calculus at school, I hadn't only done statistics, they told me that I was back in the running. So they told me that I was back in the running on the Friday. They were then sending out congratulation offers on the Saturday. And I was supposed to be starting my new job as a vet nurse on the Monday. Talk about a roller coaster of emotions, far out. This is in January. So on the Saturday, my aunt and uncle, they were over from England, and we all decided to go to Waiheke Island, which is just off the coast of Auckland. So we went there, and I made sure that I had data on my phone because I was like, I need to find out whether I'm getting an offer. And the data didn't work because there was no reception because we were on an island. Cool. I was like, how am I going to last an entire day knowing that offers were being sent out but not being able to check it? Anyway, I told my mom that I really needed to go use the toilet, and she's like, okay, I'll go with you. And she thought we were going to go to the public toilet, but I was like, in my head, I was like, no, I'm going to a restaurant because I need their Wi-Fi so that I can check this. So I was like, no, Mom, we need to go to the restaurant. Anyway, she figured out why I wanted to go to the restaurant, and we'd turn up and they were like, you have to buy something to get the password. So we sit down and we act like we're going to buy something. I think we did end up getting some Cremora chips, that's sweet potato chips. And we got the Wi-Fi password. And I found out that I got in. I had an offer. But I was like, do I really have an offer? Like, surely not. So I read it, I zoomed in, congratulations, Leanne, you've got an offer for the University of Queensland. I was like, surely not. I passed my mum the phone. Congratulations, Leanne, you've got an offer for the University of Queensland. Sorry, what? I was going to be going to vet school in Australia? I burst out crying. I was just far out. I had got into vet school. Just all of that hard work and dedication from that year was actually worth it. I was going to vet school in Australia. So we're walking back from the restaurant and I'm just crying tears. And my dad sees me from a distance and his heart sinks. He's like, she mustn't have got an offer. He felt so sorry for me. So he runs up to me. He's like, are you okay? I was like, Dad, I am going to vet school in Australia. I got an offer. He fell over. He was so excited for me. I just remember I spent that, I don't know, a good 10 minutes hugging both my auntie, my uncle, my mom, my dad, absolutely just crying. I was just so happy. I was going to vet school. What? And then it hit me, I was going to vet school in 2 weeks' time. And I had no accommodation in Australia. I didn't actually even know where Gatton was in Australia. I had just applied there because it was a 5-year course. It wasn't on the other side of Australia, so it was close to New Zealand and it looked like a good course. But I had no place to live. So quickly, when we got home, we contacted the halls of residence at Gatton, and they had already done their first round of offers because everybody else had been in previous offers because my my transcript came late. And the halls of residence was great. They ended up getting me into the halls of residence, and I was in Riddell Hall. But I still had 2 weeks to move my entire life over from New Zealand to Australia. That was hectic. I then realised that I was supposed to be starting my new job on the Monday, and we were on Saturday, and I could not start, basically, because what was the point? I was leaving in 2 weeks. So I emailed the vet, and I explained my situation. I explained to him that I hadn't told him about UQ because I was out of the running, and they had only told me on Friday that I was back in the running. And he was so understanding. He was actually a UQ graduate himself, and he told me that if I ever needed to do clinical practice, I could go back to him, which was so lovely and comforting to know that he was just so understanding, and he was so happy that I was able to follow my dreams. But then it was hard to say goodbye to my friends and my best friends and my family, but I was so excited because I was finally being able to follow my dream. I was going to a different country, and then I realized I was going to have to be living without my family, and I'm such a homebody. The longest I'd been away from them previously was for 10 days, and now I was moving to a different country, to on halls living. I was like, wow. So that was a whole, another roller coaster of emotions just going on. But in the end, my mum and I caught a plane from Australia to Brisbane together. Then we caught a coach to Gatton and turned up, and that was the first time I had ever seen the university. And we were a bit early. O Week was starting on the Sunday, but we arrived on the Friday. And I met some of the people that I'd be living with. And then O Week started, and I began to follow my dreams. So it was hectic. It was a long journey. Thank you if you stuck with me and listened to this video. That is my journey. I am now in my final year of vet school. We're in July. I graduate in December. I'm going to be Dr. Leanne really soon. Sometimes I'm like, how is this even still happening? Like, what? So, absolutely thrilled. And it just goes to show, if you want it, you will push hard enough until you get it. Good luck to all of you. I hope that if your journey didn't seem to follow the linear path that you were expecting, that you keep trying and you push through and you get there too.